Whenever one thinks of Swedish-made techno, then Adam Beyer is a name that automatically pops up. Together with his school friends Kari Leckerbusch, Jesper Dahlbeck and Joel Mull, Adam has been working on the Swedish definition of techno since the middle of the 90s. With his label Drumcode, by the end of the 90s he'd set the benchmark for functional loop-based techno. However, to reduce him to such a hardliner would not be doing his musical diversity justice. With his releases on Sveg, as well as on his own labels True Soul and Red Eye, he's proven, rather impressively, that he's capable of more.
I mean, I've always been quite diverse in what I like musically. And since the beginning, I had my first records out in 93, 94. And some of them were stuff for Loop Records, and it was all like 130, 132 BPM, house, tech house kind of stuff. We also did a lot of harder stuff, like we did records for Drop-Based Network, and like we were really into the Cologne acid stuff and this, harder sounds. And but I think my biggest inspiration at the time was Jeff Mills and this kind of stuff. So that turned me on to, I would say, loop techno and mixing on 3 decks, and that's also a little bit how the idea with Drumcode came up. When things started to change was, I would say for me, was around 2002. I started to go a little bit outside where I've been before, and I went to Ibiza. I met people like Ricardo and Richie, and those people play quite a different sound from what I was used to, and that really had a big impact on me. And the way I was listening to techno and the way I partied to techno, and I took my influences from the island and also from other places where we went, Miami, and I brought them together a little bit with what I did before, and I tried to mix the styles and create something own out of it, and not copying the German guys, but making an Adam Beyer sounding new style. Since the beginning, I've always done records on the side, maybe that were not as well known as my Drumcode stuff or my harder stuff, but I did records for labels like Sveg, which was a pretty famous Swedish labels in the late 90s, and also other stuff. I've done records for Soma and tons of different things. There was always a big influence, I think, especially in the 90s, from the Detroit stuff. I mean, a lot of the Swedish stuff has strings in it and melody and more listening elements. I always had a really weak spot for ambient. Like I always listened to Warp, and all those labels were very important as well, I think. So there's one thing what you play in a club, and there's another what you produce and what you listen to, you know? And there's a time and a place for everything, I think. So.
In the last few years, Adam's releases have had a softer approach. But he's got lots in store for 2008 and for his label, Drumcode.
Yeah, Drumcode slowed down for a couple of years. I only had like a release or two every year. since the whole change of style, I felt obligated to step back and watch the scene a little bit where it was going. And recently I felt that there was a place for drum code again in the market. I was missing a lot of techno and not like really hard stuff, but a little bit more energetic stuff, a little bit fuller in the sound. So I've started to sign a lot of new artists again. So the style of the label has broadened a little bit. It's not just one style like it used to be. It can be, it's a little bit wider, and it will be more of a, it will always be techno, but within the limits of minimal ranging to like mid-tempo, a little bit harder stuff. You can live safe and do what you do a whole career. I mean, there's some DJs out there who play their sound and they do it from day one to the day they quit. But for me, and I know for some other people as well, it's impossible to just stay on one thing. When if you want to progress and if you get influenced by something, why not try to improve it or make your version out of it? Sure, it's a business aspect. I got my fans, I can earn money on them, blah, blah, blah. But in the long time run, if I'm not happy doing that, I would probably stop doing what I do earlier because I'm bored with it. So I rather take the risk of pushing my limits or pushing myself or trying to experiment with other influences and go further and have fun. So, I mean, the scene is bigger than ever, which is a good thing, because that means like people like me and other people who are DJing have a bigger market to do their job and more places to go. On the other hand, the fact that everyone in the world can access the same music in one or two or three different the leading digital platforms or distributions makes everyone playing a little bit more the same music, because a lot of people, for example, in Beatport are shopping from the shards and they look at what is selling, they're buying. So everywhere, everyone is playing the same thing, which makes it less interesting maybe to hear a DJ from another country. For example, I remember going out in the mid-90s or early 90s, and there was a guy from America playing in Europe or somewhere, and he came and he played records we never seen, never heard of, and new sounds, and that was really crazy for us. As a DJ today, I think, sure, you can buy your stuff from Beatport, but maybe you need exclusive stuff. You need to have stuff before it comes out, or you need to do your own edits or rework the music somehow to make it interesting. Carrie and Joel and Jesper and me, the last few years we have, I think everyone went their own ways a little bit after the 90s and the whole Swedish sound, and everyone's has been influenced by different stuff, and obviously our sounds are a bit more diverse than back then. But what I've been trying to do in the last year or so is to pull everyone together a little bit more again. And so I've started to do drum code parties when we play together. And I think that's really important for us and for the sound to stay together as a group and help each other, because that's the way we always worked. Listen to each other's music and, mastering each other's stuff, changing sounds and ideas and whatever. So I think that's always a good thing if you have people around you, because it's inspiration, When I'm done DJing, I don't know whenever it's gonna be. I'm only 31 now, so I guess I have many years to go in the industry. I think it's good to build something more around you than just the DJing. So I think I would stay in the music industry. I don't really have any other careers on the side because I've been working hard and already for 10 or even more years traveling the world. But you know, you start to do some investments, and hopefully when you're 45 or 50, you don't need to work anymore and you can retire, you know. Or you have a business that is running on its own, or someone else that runs it for you. That's my plan anyway. But we'll see.